A rocket from Gaza was launched at Israel last night but fell short and exploded in Gaza. Itamar Ben-Gvir, by simply ascending the Temple Mount, sparked international outrage, and the United Nations condemned Israel in 2022 more than all the other countries of the world combined. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. Hello and welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. First off, Happy New Year's, guys. We're now in 2023. This is my first video of 2023. If you enjoy the content that you're watching, make sure to like the video. Also subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of the episodes of the Israel Guys. We're bringing you 3 shows a week every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So just yesterday, or last night actually, terrorists in Gaza, they launched a rocket towards Israel. It was launched towards an open area in the Eshkol Regional Council, but no red alert siren was activated in accordance with the warning policy of the Home Front Command because it didn't actually cross over into Israel. It actually fell short and exploded inside of Gaza, so thankfully no civilians were hurt. The IDF, they said, put out a statement. They said, quote, "A failed rocket launch that fell in the Gaza Strip was identified tonight, Tuesday. In accordance with standard operating procedures, an alert was not activated. Full routine continues on the Israeli home front." As of this point, no terrorist organization has claimed responsibility for this rocket launch, but it was most likely Hamas who did this because yesterday, as we're going to talk about in a few minutes, Public Security Minister, or National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir ascended the Temple Mount, and Hamas issued threats. They said they would retaliate. They said they would not stand idly by. So it's most likely it was Hamas who fired off this rocket. Also, it's reported that Hamas militants are evacuating outposts along the Israel-Gaza border. They're scared that Israel is going to retaliate and do a strike since they fired a rocket towards Israel, because usually when Hamas or other terrorist organizations fire rockets toward Israel out of Gaza, Israel strikes back with very detailed and precise strikes against Hamas military posts or the other terrorist organizations. So yesterday, Tuesday morning, Itamar Ben-Gvir, National Security Minister of the new Israeli Knesset that was just sworn in the other day, he ascended the Temple Mount. And I'm not sure if ever before a visit to the Temple Mount has ever sparked so much international outrage, international headlines, you could say. Hamas is condemning it, the Palestinian Authority, Jordan, Britain, the Biden administration, now the UAE, and the United Nations. They're all up in arms about Itamar Ben-Gvir simply ascending the Temple Mount to mark the fast of the 10th of Tevet, which was yesterday. He simply walked around on the site. He didn't do anything provocative to provoke the Palestinians up there. He just simply walked around. He didn't pray out loud or anything. He was probably praying quietly, but he simply walked around, and it's sparking international outrage. While Ben-Gvir was up there, he said, quote, "Our government will not surrender to the threats of Hamas," because before Hamas was threatening, they said if he went up there, they would strike. They said, "We will not surrender to the threats of Hamas. The Temple Mount is the most important place for the people of Israel, and we maintain the freedom of movement for Muslims and Christians, but Jews will also visit the site. Those who make threats must be dealt with an iron hand." So apparently before Benjamin Netanyahu, he tried to stop Ben-Gvir from making this visit. So some of his security officials were saying that it could lead to a major escalation with terrorist forces in Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, which just by the simple act of going up on the Temple Mount, that should not cause war. They shouldn't. Like, why would the terrorists be so worried about Ben-Gvir simply going up on the Temple Mount? So first of all, the Wafa news agency, which is a Palestinian Arab news agency, they said he stormed the Al-Aqsa compound Also, Jordan said he stormed the Al-Aqsa compound. First of all, Al-Aqsa Mosque is on the Temple Mount. It's on the one side of the Temple Mount, and Jews are not allowed inside the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So there's no way he was storming the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Al-Aqsa compound. As you'll see in the videos, he's just simply walking around the site, not doing anything provocative, not storming not the Al-Aqsa Mosque at all. Hamas responded on Tuesday to his visit. They said, quote, the crime of the fascist Zionist minister Ben-Gvir in invading the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Oh, so now he's invading it. Is a continuation of the aggression of the occupation against the holy places. Al-Aqsa Mosque was and will remain Palestinian, Arab, and Islamic, and no fascist person can change this fact. He's not trying to change that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is Palestinian. That has nothing to do with his visit, by the way. Okay, the Biden administration also, they were not happy with Ben-Gvir going up on the Temple Mount. U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Thomas Nides, he said, quote, to be very clear, we want to preserve the status quo, and actions that prevent that are unacceptable. We have been very clear in our conversations with the Israeli government on this issue. Also, State Department spokesperson Ned Price said at Tuesday's daily briefing, we're deeply concerned by this visit to Haram al-Sharif / Temple Mount. This visit has the potential to exacerbate tensions and to provoke violence. Also, a White House National Security Council spokesperson said that the Biden administration expects Netanyahu to follow through on his written commitment to the governing platform, the Temple Mount, which calls for the preservation of the status quo in the holy places in Jerusalem. The spokesperson said, quote, any unilateral action that jeopardizes the status quo is unacceptable. By the way, Ben-Gvir did not violate the status quo at all. The status quo that Jews are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount, that they're only allowed to walk around on the Temple Mount. That is exactly what he did. He did not violate the status quo at all. Also, the British consulate in Jerusalem, they wrote on their Facebook page, quote, concerned by the visit to Haram al-Sharif / Temple Mount by Minister Ben-Gvir today. The UK remains committed to the status quo, and it is important that all should avoid actions which inflame tensions and undermine the cause of peace. So now they're saying that he is inflaming tensions and undermining the cause of peace. Wow. Also, the UAE slammed Ben-Gvir. Their foreign ministry said, quote, we call on the Israeli administration to limit the escalation and not take provocative steps that will inflame the regional population. And it goes even further, gets crazier. According to Reuters, the UAE and China, China, that's why I said too. Like, what does China have to do with this? They asked the UN Security Council to meet publicly to discuss recent developments at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. And according to reports, the meeting is likely to take place on Thursday. After the visit by Ben-Gvir, Netanyahu's office responded in a statement. They said, quote, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is committed to strictly maintaining the status quo without changes on the Temple Mount. We will not be dictated to by Hamas. Under the status quo, ministers have gone up to the Temple Mount in recent years, including Public Security Minister Gilad Erdan. Therefore, the claim that a change has been made in the status quo is without foundation. So there you go. He did not violate the status quo at all. And even if he did, like, what's wrong with that? This might sound really politically incorrect, but I think it would be good for the status quo to change, because the status quo right now is that Muslims have freedom to do whatever they want, literally whatever they want on the Temple Mount, and Jews cannot even pray there. Literally, their holiest site, the holiest site in Judaism, and they cannot pray there. That is the status quo, and I think it's time for that to change. So yesterday evening, Ben-Gvir, he did an interview with Channel 12 News about his visit. He said, quote, on the interview, he said, I thought it would be a great maneuver to go up to the Temple Mount like that. I wouldn't have gone up anyway, but the fact that you let Hamas understand that someone in the government caved, this government does not cave, there's no need to tell Hamas when and how to respond. He also claimed that there is serious racism on the Temple Mount against Jews, and that it that it is illogical for Jews to experience racism in the country where they live. I absolutely agree with him. It makes no sense that Jews should be experiencing racism in their own country and their holiest site. Later on Tuesday, Ben-Gvir's wife, although it didn't gain as much media attention as international headlines, Ayala Ben-Gvir, Ben-Gvir's wife, she ascended the Temple Mount. She said, quote, "I try to go up several times a month, and the 10th of Tevet is a particularly appropriate date. The Temple Mount is the holiest place for the Jewish people. When I go up, I feel the holiness. I feel a warm embrace." They mentioned the 10th of Tevet several times. Just real quick, the 10th of Tevet is a fast in Judaism. It commemorates when the Babylonians in the Bible first began the siege of Jerusalem. So the Jewish people fast on that every day. So it's really special, more important to go up on the Temple Mount on that day. But moving along, a Democratic lawmaker who represents Massachusetts' 4th Essex District in the state's House of Representatives, her name is Jamie Zalawe Belcito. She called the Israeli government a terrorist regime. Yeah. She tweeted last Friday that the Biden administration should condemn Israel's new government as a terrorist regime dedicated to killing Palestinian Arabs. Ouch. She said, quote, "The U.S. must acknowledge that the Israel administration is an apartheid-run thuggery terrorist regime on a mission to kill Palestinians. Killing and land taking has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It is genocide." So what she's trying to say is her statements are not anti-Semitic, that she is not anti-Semitic. Sorry, but yes, that is very anti-Semitic, or if you want me to say it in clearer terms, Jew hatred. Yes, what you have said is clear Jew hatred. And speaking of Jew hatred, in 2022, the United Nations condemned Israel more than all other countries in the world combined. So the UN General Assembly, they approved 15 anti-Israel resolutions last year versus only 13 resolutions criticizing all the other countries in the world combined. Russia was the focus of 6 resolutions condemning its invasion of Ukraine. North Korea, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Syria, Iran, and the U.S. were hit with 1 resolution each, and Israel was slammed with 15. That is Jew hatred at its very finest right there, guys. Guys, in conclusion, Itamar Ben-Gvir did not storm the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Contrary to what you might be hearing, he simply walked around the holiest site in the world for Judaism like he has every right in the world to do. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. Tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening in the land of Israel. We'll be back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.